Hey, 4C divers! Welcome to 4C Facebook Live. And my name is Nicole, and we have Jeff Nelson here today. I just wanted to let you guys know we appreciate you tuning in. So if you are tuning in, please let us know that you're here by saying hello in the comments, maybe even letting us know where you're listening in from, whether it's here locally or from out of the state or out of the country. We want to know who is listening in on tonight's presentation. It is Tuesday. It is June 23rd, 2020. And we have a great, exciting presentation for you tonight. We're really excited because we have one of the most premier dive instructors here in South Florida, Mr. Jeff Nelson. He is a 4C instructor, and he is also a great employee. He's up at our Riviera Beach location at our store. And you can go in there and see him anytime to go help you pick out some gear, take some classes, and talk to you about this Blue Heron Bridge that we're going to present about tonight. So quick, everyone saying hello. Everyone tell us where you're listening in from. And if you could do us a favor throughout the presentation, give us a thumbs up, give us the heart emoji, give us a smiley face. Let us know that you're liking the presentation. You can also ask questions throughout the presentation. We might not answer them right away, but we'll definitely answer your questions, or I might know that he's already going to answer it in a slide. So hang on tight, keep watching us. This is going to be a great presentation. So one more thing, if you guys go ahead and go to our website, if you didn't register yet, go to the 4C website, www.force-e.com, and go to the event tab and drop it down and look for tonight's event. And you're going to register on the Eventbrite. The reason why you want to do that is because we are going to be raffling off one of the Blue Heron Bridge companion books tonight. So you have to be registered on our Eventbrite. You have until 6:45 to register and get your name on the raffle that we're going to do at the end of the presentation. Also, just to let you guys know, we do have the Blue Heron Bridge tide tables at the any of the 3 store locations for you guys, and it's also on the website as well. All right, so everyone is saying hello to you, Jeff. We've got people who are listening in from Boca, Vero Beach, Maryland, upstate New York. We've got Washington, D.C., Michigan. Look at all these people tuning in. I guess you must have a really interesting topic tonight, huh?
We do have an interesting topic tonight, and that's the Blue Heron Bridge, aka Phil Foster Park. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. So the things we're going to kind of talk about and go over today are going to be, if Nicole's got my slide up for me there, I'll show you what we're going to be doing. So we got a couple things we're going to be talking about. We'll actually be talking about the history of the bridge and the park, and how it became worldwide famous, and the address, so you can kind of know how to get there. We'll also be talking about who governs the area and protects it, and the kind of the rules and regulations of the park, the hours, some of the park amenities, some of the things you need to have when you go there, and type of experience levels for those divers that can conduct the dives there, and snorkel as well. And we'll also be talking a little bit about how to conduct a dive, what you'll see, the kind of layout, the hazards, the things you need to know, points of interest, of course, and about our night dives and the types of gear you'll need for that. And then the animals you'll see and some of the rare sightings that we've actually had there. And we'll also be talking about hiring a guide and the steps for that as well. So let's go ahead and jump in a little bit about the history of the bridge. Palm Beach County actually built a 2,700 foot long timber and steel bridge known as the Sherman Point Bridge. That actually was kind of known. If you actually got a hold of anybody back then that was still could tell you about it, when they rode over the part, when they would ride over the bridge, they would actually could feel the boards bouncing when she got a little older. But back in 1928, a hurricane came in and partially destroyed the bridge, and then they decided to rebuild it in 1930s. In addition, a second concrete and steel 2-lane drawbridge was also built in 1949. Cost around $850,000, which is actually, I think you probably only get about 20 feet now with the way the prices are with bridge building these days. So give a little bit of a old time look back then. As you can see on the right hand side, we've got, on the left hand side of the screen, they actually have a old look what the bridge, the park used to look like before they had the boat ramps officially put in. The boats just used to pull up on the beach on the northern side. And then you look over to the right, you can see they actually built a little seawall and actually started to construct the boat ramps. But the beach was always there, which is really kind of interesting. And this bridge that you see right now is actually the old fishing pier layout. So then they decided to do a modern bridge was required back in 1974, cost $8.5 million. A 4-lane bridge was built that actually was actually named after it was named for the Jerry Thomas Memorial Bridge, but it later became known as the Blue Heron Bridge, and that is the main strip. It didn't have the drawbridge. They eliminated the drawbridge altogether. And if you can kind of see in the back picture, you can see the old Blue Heron bridge back there, which is part of the fishing pier. And they still have it connected to the park. So where's the site located? Well, it's actually located at 900 East Blue Heron Boulevard. It's at the zip code is 33404. It's in Riviera Beach. It sits on about, the park has got 33 acres total of land mass. And the park actually became a little bit more famous because of social media. So in 1998, and of course everybody knows back then, social media started booming. We had a lot more people posting things online, so the internet blew up, and then people were posting pictures, and so word got around a lot faster. So the park became very popular, and then became worldwide. We had people all the way across to Japan. I had people from Ireland, so all around the world, just all come in and come down to this dive site to dive some of the unique areas, and because of that, it actually became worldwide famous. So they're saying, who governs this area? Well, the funny thing about the park is it actually sits on a really unique area. The park actually itself is run by Palm Beach County. And Palm Beach County uses the local, sometimes uses local law enforcement. This park's actually governed by, policed by the Palm Beach Sheriff's Department. When it comes to regulations on fishing, because fishing allows in the park, we have the Florida Wildlife Control, and they're actually one of the contributing factors who helped us with getting the park protected. So we went through the FWC, and they actually helped control some of the problems that we were having at the park, which we'll discuss later on. Other things that you have involved would be the Coast Guard because of the waterways around it. And then we also have the Coast Guard. And then we have the DOT because of the bridge. So we have DOT. So really, when it comes to any decision making made at the park, it really has to kind of run through almost all of them when it comes to hard structures or any kind of changes in the park. So you can kind of imagine a bunch of chiefs getting together and trying to make a decision is not that easy. So it's not just one body that actually governs it, but the park itself is actually maintained maintenance-wise. When it comes to the grass being cut, the trees being trimmed, the garbage being picked up, all that's by Palm Beach County. So those guys really do a lot of hard work trying to keep that park clean. I've seen the county people there on weekdays, on holidays. I've been diving there on a Christmas day, and seeing them there, and they're cleaning up and taking out the garbage. So I really give the park county employees, especially the maintenance people, I really give them a hands up, clap and applause, because they really do an outstanding job of help keeping the park nice and maintained well. And then, of course, things like the Blue Heron Bridge Preservation Society initiative that actually helped get some of the things, keeping an eye on things. Local diving community help out with that as well. So we have the whole diving community itself, I would say, also helps govern the area because they're the ones who actually report things. So I would say if it came down to saying who was the best at keeping an eye on the park, I would say it's the local dive community. They want to make sure the park stays there and nothing happens to it. So we really appreciate all the local divers for getting a hold of the local authorities whenever there's a problem. So let's talk a little bit about the rules. So rules in the hours of the park. So of course, like anything else, everything has some type of limitations. The park has nowhere doesn't have any other laws, just like any other park. They have things like certain hours. So the park is actually, the beach side of it actually closed sunrise to sunset. They do allow fishing in the on the fishing pier. That is allowed up till 10 p.m., which means the parking lot itself is closed at 10 p.m. But however, though, the beach is closed at sunset. The boat ramps, of course, are open till for 24 hours, but there's no overnight parking. So the boat, obviously, you can't like park your boats there and your trailers there and go for days on to the Bahamas or something like that. And because of the sunrise to sunset rule, we can't dive the park at nighttime. Now, I'll get back into the night diving procedures later on, but because of that, the park has the restriction of the sunrise and sunset time frame. Now, guarded area. There are guarded signs that are actually in the park under the bridge, and if you go to the far east side, there's another sign that has an arrow pointing in the opposite direction saying guarded area. Now, in the guarded area, when the lifeguards are on duty, they don't want divers going underwater in their area, and those are marked off with the white balls that actually extend from the shoreline, one row of balls, and then they run parallel down to the shore, along with the shore. It's a small little area, usually noticeable because they have two balls on each corner. When the lifeguards are on duty, they don't want anybody going underwater because if something happens to a diver, they wouldn't be able to recognize that. And they don't want any swimmers obviously hitting a diver in the head in the shallow areas. So we just abide by those rules and actually don't go underwater when they're on duty. Now, when the lifeguards go off duty, of course, they allow us to go underwater, which is nice because there actually are some things. I just found a frogfish today. Just snorkeling on top. So if the lifeguards were on duty, so I just stayed on the surface. Now they do allow us to enter the park in that guarded area, and they do allow us to swim across the top and to swim out of the guarded area. So if you wanted to swim across it to get out, we're allowed to do that as well. The other rules they have in there would be they don't allow alcohol beverages under the bridge. There's no propane grills. Or any kind of fires that you can put on the bridge for obvious reasons, for safety and support of the bridge. Amplified music. There's signs out there for that. Pets. So if those of you who are divers or snorkelers and you want to bring your pet, they don't allow pets on the beach. Instructors, we are required as instructors, we are required to have permits. Dive shops are required to have permits if they're going to ever come there and take their students there. So you need to obviously check with go to the Parks and Recreation page and then look them up under the permits and how to apply for a permit. Okay. Some of the amenities that they have at the park, they do have fresh showers at the park. The rinse stations are actually one by the kiddie playground park. And the other one is just before the bridge starts to peak up right behind the first lifeguard stand to the far east. There's another shower right up behind that, up on the sidewalk as well. They have bathrooms on each corner right here. So in this picture right here, I have a big circle. I get this question a lot. Where are the bathrooms? Well, when the bathrooms are open, there's one right here by the boat ramp. And that's a two-story building. And then on the far opposite side, on the west side, there's another one over here before the pavilions start to show up. And that's really close to the um, the fishing pier. On the other side of that same pavilion where the bathrooms are, it's a lifeguard shack or the office. So if you ever had to find a lifeguard or that's when they're not before they open up, they're usually sitting in there before they clock in and when they clock out. Safety, dive flags are required at the park. So for those of you who come to the park, I always get this question: is a flag required? Well, in the lifeguard area, when the lifeguards are on duty, no, the lifeguards are watching the area, but we're not allowed to be diving there anyways. If you're a snorkeler, you don't need one in the lifeguard area. But when you go outside the lifeguard area, yes, you do need to have one. And because of the misconception of the cylinders that mark off the area saying that it's a no motorized boating zone, which is a white cylinder with an orange diamond on it, that actually says no motorized boats beyond this area. Well, kayakers and paddleboarders are allowed to go in there. So you still are required to have a flag. Now, the problem is that some people will bring safety markers or SMBs and think that that's legal. No. Some people will bring cloth dive flags. No, the flag has to actually be what they call a legal size flag. The flag has to be fully erect. It has to be at least a 12 by 12 for a personal float, and the flag has to be marked with the red and yellow typical diver sign, which actually means person in the water. Now, when you come out of the water, make sure you take your flag with you. Some divers like to take their flag and anchor it down or put a weight on it and sit it down and then swim away. Again, you have to be very careful because you got kayakers and other swimmers swimming on top. If you do that and you swim away and you think, okay, well, I'm in within 50 feet or 20 feet of my flag, you still run the risk of someone actually maneuvering around it. So I would always tell divers, just keep with you, bring it along with you, okay? For the diving experience, this is a great place for the beginner. There are classes that are taught there. The first two dives are usually, for most instructors, they like to take their first two dives there for the students because it is mainly a silty bottom dive. The bottom is mainly made of a soft powdery sand in certain areas, and then when you get down on the trail, it actually starts to get to the traditional gritty sand. But because of that, some instructors feel, oh, it's great to bring their students out there because, if they have a hard time, they kick up something, they're not kicking up the coral or the reef. Well, you have to understand these are animals down there that you don't see that are actually boring holes in the sand that you can actually be destroying their home. So we always try to tell instructors when you're coming out there, obviously, make sure you do your confined water pool sessions and you have them have their buoyancy in good shape before you take them there. But it's still a great place to shallow dive for new divers to come in. If you got to do a quick weight adjustment, you come back in, you can do add a couple of pounds, you go back up on the beach and grab your weights. The other side of it, you have the most experienced divers. I see tech divers coming out there with their doubles and learning to get their gear just right before they go on a boat dive. It's a great place for them to come in there, get their weight. They have a new wetsuit. We just had a big sale at the store and sold a lot of wetsuits, and told all the divers, you know what, go to the bridge and actually jump in the water, get a good experience, get your weight just right. And that way, when you actually go out in the boat, or if you go somewhere else in a salty environment, you're already prepared for that. So another great thing, from experience to the inexperience, is a great place to go diving. So let's talk about a little bit about how to conduct the dive. Well, first thing you need to know about the dive is you need to know the tides. This is a tidal dive, okay? So what that means is that based on the moon phase, you have water will come in through the mouth of the inlet and the water levels will rise. And then, of course, what happens to a certain point, the water will stop. We call that slack tide when there's absolutely no current. And then the water will shift and go back out. So we have this nice, beautiful, good saltwater, fresh visibility coming in. And then when it turns and goes back out, it brings the intercoastal canal water back out. So the visibility will drop down. So people always, I will get the question sometimes, well, why do I want to do this during the high tide? Why can't I do it at low tide? Well, you could do a low tide, but it's usually not the best of visibility. It takes a little while for that nice, clean salt water, fresh, clear water to come in. So usually it's about the hour before high tide. It's usually the best of visibility. And if you're ever sitting on top of the bridge and you're looking down, you can actually see that nice, clear water slowly coming in through the mouth of the inlet. The hour just before, and another reason why the hour just before is really good, because if you go in too early, 2 hours or 3 hours before, the current can be too strong. And what that can do is actually pull someone underneath the big bridge or under the little Blue Heron Bridge, and it can actually pull them out into the channel. And we don't want that to happen, especially if you're not an experienced diver or know how to get how to deal with currents at all. So we always tell people best time is the hour before. If you start to notice too, when that tide shifts and it starts to go back out, besides losing visibility, it may change the water temperature too. So you have that fresh water combination mixing in with salt water, drops the visibility, but it also might be either a little colder or it might be a little warmer, depending on the on which one is colder or warmer. But typically, I always notice on the summer times it gets a little cooler, so the temperature does drop down a little bit on the outgoing tide. So what I would recommend you guys doing is coming in. Nicole has these really nice, had printed up these really nice tide charts for us. So every 4C location has these tide charts, and on those tide charts, they actually show the high tides, and they also show on red, they show our night dives when we have them scheduled. So when the park allows us to start opening up and doing night dives again, you'll see the dates that we have already made marked down. So I gave the schedules to Nicole. I give it to her every year, and she makes it out and gets it to the printers. And then I pick out the night dives that we're doing. And then on the other side of the tide chart, it actually has a map of the bridge. So it's a great thing to come in, ask the staff, say, hey, listen, where's the best place to enter from? Where's the best place to sit down and, in a shaded area? Where's the showers at? So we get a lot of these conversations at the store all the time. We love helping people. So just please, definitely just pick our ear, ask us, say, hey, listen, where's this at? Where, have you seen anything new? So just come in, give us a call. We'd love giving you that guidance. So when conducting a dive, you got to determine if you're going to do what we call the west side, or if you're going to do what we call the east side. Now, the east side is probably the easiest for a new diver to do, because if you make a mistake and you go east, by the way, if you aren't good with the compass skill, we do offer the navigation specialty in the store. I strongly recommend it. And if you don't own a compass, we also have those on sale as well in the store. But I do recommend you guys getting a compass, and I do recommend you guys getting some training with navigating with a compass. We do our advanced classes over there, and we actually do the navigation class and the navigation specialty class over there, along with the peak buoyancy class. So if the east side, if you accidentally go too far, well, the good news is you're going to run into a seawall. Right now, the seawall is actually not, the building that was there has actually been torn down, so it's a vacant lot. So the good thing is we don't deal with the boaters that used to be moored up the docks there anymore, for now at least. But we do have some of the sailboats that like to anchor off out there near that area. So you have to be mindful of that. That's, again, why we have to have the flag. But if you go too far, you hit the seawall. So that's east, that's 90 degrees. Then for that point, you just go north, and because you're either going to hit the beach or you're going to hit the little Blue Heron Bridge. You'll know that because it'll get dark all of a sudden because you're underneath the bridge. So there's another landmark for you to know. And then, of course, if you go back west, you'll come back around and you can follow the curve to the curve around to the beach and come back up on the shoreline. So it's a pretty simple pattern to follow. As you can see right here, Nicole made this nice printout picture with the red line. Most divers will actually go out on the snorkel trail, follow east, go into the little Blue Heron Bridge, go around. There's a little wreck out there. They don't go too far, and they kind of sightsee out there, and then they come back under the little Blue Heron Bridge and come back in and swoop back in. Now, if you're feeling like you got enough air and you're not what I call an ASD, and for those of you who don't know what an ASD, it's an air sucking dog. That's always been the joke of my the people always ask what that means. But it's the if you got enough air and you think you're hitting the tide just right, some people do try to squeeze in a little bit of a west dive over, but a lot of times it's just say on once they do one side or they do the other. Now, if you're going to go west, now this is where I would tell you definitely need your experience. You need to definitely take someone out with you and actually have you show the site, because if you miss this one on the west side, you're really near the boating channel, and if you miss it, you can go out into the channel lane. I like to tell new divers on that diving that side for the first time to please make sure you hug close to the beach and then go underneath the bridge. Now, there is a fishing pier. We like to be respectful for the fishermen. So please remember, if you go near that bridge, just be careful, because I like to pop up. If there's no fishermen over there, I actually will stay underneath the bridge itself. And before I come out, I like to just take a look to make sure I'm not offending any of the fishermen, and then I'll come back right out. The main part of it, though, where the bridge supports are on the west side, the columns are pretty cool because you can see the fingers that support them. They actually have a lot of neat things that actually grow in between there. So you're either going to do the east side or you're going to do the west side. And again, if you've never dove there before, I recommend you getting good with your compass and getting some good guidance. And I also strongly recommend you hiring a dive guide. So here's a little bit of what what the bridge kind of looks like. I kind of have the bridge kind of taken out, and you can see that the supports right over here on the west side. You can see the channel over here on the left side of your picture. And then on the far east side, the little Blue Heron Bridge has been removed. You can see the supports. There's a lot more supports. So a lot more growth is actually underneath the little Blue Heron Bridge. Very dark, though. So I would recommend that you guys bring some light, and I'll get more into that with you when we talk about gear. So the layout. So we have kind of, you almost see in this picture, you can see the artificial rock trail. So a couple of foundations have actually donated some structures that they could put down there. We have the hammerhead shark statues. I always like to tell people that we have three residential sharks that hang out at the park all the time, and those are the three hammerhead sharks. They're actually were donated and put underneath or out on the far west side. So it's actually these three sharks actually, or what I tell people, are the end of the west side of the trail. So if you ever see the sharks, you're at the end of the snorkeling trail and dive trail, and that's the far west side. Beyond that point, there are no more artificial structures there that you venture out to, except for the bridge supports. The things that you might see down there that are not put down there on purpose may be some boats. So we have the boats that are sunken. They were sunken actually during the hurricane. This one right here is the one that you see on the far east side. So this is a key point of a structure, because it's actually to let you know when when you see this boat, from this point on, you just keep heading west and you'll come back up on the beach. Okay. So a couple key things to point out: the little boat right here on the bend and is on the east side, and the hammerhead shark. So this kind of give you an idea of some key turning points. We have 15 structures also that are artificial that were donated. There's 15 circular, I call them my tier cakes. They were actually they were put throughout the trail. They said just inside the limestone rock trail. That was actually a stagger. They run all the way from east to west. They start right with the hammerhead shark. So if you actually go to the far lifeguard stand and you were to stand in front of it and go straight out, you'll hit the first one. There's a little plate on the top of the structure. This says number 1. So if you ever want to try to see how far you can go, start counting them and find them. The next one beyond that is number 2. Then you usually hit the hammerhead shark statues. And then if you go 90 degrees and you head east, they kind of go from the rock trail and they zigzag in and out off the rock trail. And then you can actually find them all the way to the very end to the far east side where number 15 is. And then if you hit 15 and keep going north, you'll run into that boat. So that's the kind of the layout for the snorkel trail. It's how I like to tell snorkelers and divers who want to do the trail. Underneath the little Blue Heron Bridge, you can see right here, this is a great day. The lights really lit up, but it's really nice if you can have a dive light because you can actually see a lot of the cool things that actually grow in there on the pillars. There is also 2 wrecks that were actually during a hurricane, they sank. The main was in the center of the bridge on the south side of the little Blue Heron Bridge, but dead center. That's actually the deepest spot, and that's at 23 feet. So your maximum depth you'll see there at the park is 23 feet, and that's at high tide. On the far west side, you may hit best at 17 feet, but the deepest would be on the east side. So under the Blue Heron Bridge, the little Blue Heron, you have the boat structures, you have the sailboat. Then the other boat that I was talking about is under the Blue Heron Bridge, but all the way more far to the second row of pillars in from the far east side. So under the Blue Heron Bridge, you have dead center, and it's the second pillars from the end. On the far east side, you have the little boat, another boat. I like that one because it's not uncommon to see nurse sharks hanging out underneath there. So I love the nurse sharks that come in. They like to hang underneath that little boat. So let's talk about some of the hazards. So some things you have to be very careful about. So the first thing is obviously the channel lane on the far west side. They actually they're actually still a little bit under construction with it, but they finally put it in, and that's the bumper guards. This is the picture from the fishing pier. This is the boat traffic. So here's your traffic lane right here. And that actually is a big no-no. You don't cross that because you're actually in the lane of the channel, and you're considered impeding traffic. So you don't want to have FWC or the Coast Guard pulling up on your line and pulling you up and giving you a ticket or a warning. So we don't want to have anybody get any boo-boos either and getting hit by boats. So the new supports are very easy to accidentally want to swim through because they're not as tight as the old ones. They used to have a lot more supports. So you have to make sure you're really paying attention when you're navigating and getting close to that fender wall, because there is a wall that's on the far east side that everybody likes to dive. So again, when you come into the store, let us draw out the best details and show you where that's at. Another thing we have to be careful about, the buoy markers that I was talking about, these are the ones that say no motorized boats. There's that orange diamond that I was talking about. That just sits on the outside of the snorkel trail. But just beyond that is actually the boating lane as well that goes around the whole park. So I'm going to jump back a couple of slides here. And that actually sits just south on the bottom of the picture. You can actually see on this picture, you can see where the boats are traveling. And you can see the snorkel trail with the little speckles of rocks just on the bottom, just beyond that, or inside of that. So you're not too far from the channel. Now, you do have people that like to leave the boat ramps. They like to come out and they like to go underneath the little Blue Heron Bridge. And that actually does little jet skiers, little jet skis, the little John boat, they like to cut through here. Even though technically it's not a navigable channel, they like to go through there so they don't have to ride around the whole island and come back around and out. So they'll cut through there. Again, another reason why you want to have that flag. Another reason why you want to stay close to that flag for that reason. Okay. So watch the boating ramp. That's why on the north side we tell people don't go near on the north side of the little Blue Heron Bridge. Don't go too far to the west side of that because you'll end up hitting the boat ramps. Now, I told you about the fishermen on the fishing pier. They do like to also fish off the little Blue Heron Bridge. So again, be mindful when you're swimming. If you know you're getting close to the bridge, just look up. You see a fishing line. Divers, let's be respectful. Let's not cut those lines unless you feel like you're about to get hooked. But don't just go cutting lines that you see it coming up because a fisherman is there. A lot of times a fisherman won't do anything because they don't want to reel it up on top of you. But if you do feel like you're getting in their line, if you can safely remove the line off your body or your person, that'd be great. But cutting is a last resort if we can't help it. Right. So let's talk about some of the animals we got to be careful about. So some of the aquatic marine life we need to be careful. We have everybody calls the bristleworm. It's also known as the bearded fireworm. Looks like a orange hairy caterpillar. They do like to bury into the sand. So for those of you who like to brace yourself with your fingertips in the sand, just be careful because if you pull your finger out and you notice all these little fiber hairs sticking in your finger and your finger's getting a little sting, yeah, you just got pricked by a bearded fireworm or bristleworm. They do go through some skins, in some lightweight wetsuits. So if you do see those and you do just avoid them, don't obviously touch them. You shouldn't really be touching anything, of course. We have the other one that we have a lot of is the scorpion fish. We have a couple of species there. The scorpion fish has a venomous spine on its back. So, and their whole defense mechanism is camouflage. People call them the rockfish. It's another name they have. But they do actually, if you lay down on top, if you were to actually lay down on top of one, I see photographers taking pictures. It always makes me a little nervous. And they're laying down, or I see someone doing a skill, and an instructor taking a student and having the students kneel down. And I'm always a little nervous about that because it doesn't take much to be in the middle of something and you get your thigh or your knee and you bring it down and you can lay on top of these. So again, you want to have that good buoyancy control and stay off the bottom. We also have the sea urchins. Now we have a couple of styles of types there. The bearded sea urchins are the smaller ones, the smaller spikies, more of like a nub, but it's the long spiny sea urchins you have to be careful about because they're the ones that actually will go through again. Stick into you and they can break off very easily like pencil lead. So you want to be careful that you don't sit on top of them. Okay. If you notice the theme here is don't touch it. Good buoyancy control. Keep your eye out. We do also have eels, spotted eels, green moray eels. So again, you don't want to be laying down on top of any of their little homes. They don't like their homes being messed with. So, of course, their reaction is to go into a defensive state. So, let's talk a little bit about the night dives. So, night diving at the Blue Heron Bridge is so popular. We get everything that you think you've seen at the bridge. Well, guess what? You even see more in the night dives because everything comes out. It's not uncommon to see a couple of horseshoe crabs go swirling across the bottom. You see the 9-arm sea stars come out at night. It's very easy to see your sea hares. So you see a lot of neat things. The Caribbean the Caribbean octopus comes out at night, and sometimes you even see your Atlantic longarms. They like to forage at nighttime as well. Now the night dives, a couple things you need to be obviously aware of, and that one is because the park is closed from sunrise to sunset. You need to go there only when you have a permit. Now, who has permits? And that would be a dive shop that's actually been approved by the county. They actually get permission. They'll get a hold of the park and they'll ask for permission to do the night dives. Just like I had on the Blue Heron Bridge, 4C Blue Heron Bridge tide charts, they're marked in red. So all those nights I've asked for permission from the park a whole year in advance. So those permits are good for us. And what we do is we allow customers to come to our store for free to just sign in. We ask them to sign a little waiver because that's required by the parks and county. We just have them sign a little waiver, do a sign-in sheet, and then the couple of rules that we have to follow. One, you have to be out of the park by 10 o'clock. So we do have a designated start and end time. So regardless of what the tide is, so we usually tell divers this is the time you can get in. but definitely had to be out by time to get out, because there's always a person from the shop that should be on facilities, should be on site. So the county just says, hey, listen, we need to it needs to be supervised. So someone from our store is actually at the park, and we just make sure everybody gets out at the time that we have designated. Because we want to make sure that if there's anybody having any problems and they're not at a certain time, we need to make sure we contact the local authorities so we can actually get them to come out and help us if there's any issues with any missing divers. But regardless, all our night dives, we have to be out of the parking lot by 10. The rangers will come in and they actually say, okay, everybody out. And they're usually followed by the sheriff's department, and they enforce to make sure that we get out by the 10 o'clock rule. And of course, we don't want to upset the parks, because then if they see that we're constantly violating the rules, then they won't let us go diving there at nighttime anymore. So just see your local shops. We actually do one ourselves. I know a couple of the shops up north that come down from up in northern Florida, like Orlando area. They'll come down with a group. So just follow your guidelines of your shop that has the permits. Okay. Flags are required, believe it or not, even though it's at nighttime. But the flag has to have a light. So a while back, the Coast Guard asked us, please make sure you have your flags lit up. So that way, if there's anybody navigating a boat, they can see your flag. So we tell them to put a light on the flag. Now, I like to tell people, don't put the light so high on the very top of the flag, because it may only be, the flag might cover one side of it. So if the wind's moving, you may only see the light on one side. I like to put it just on the base of the bottom of the actual flag itself, so it's just hanging a couple of feet above the water, so it can be lit up. Now, if you have a light that sits on the very top and doesn't fall over, then that's fine too. That light can be a Kim stick or glow stick. It can also be a battery operated one. I usually recommend something very light so it doesn't weigh down your flag. The other thing that we have that we've been asked by the sheriff's department is the sheriff's department has asked us that every diver have one on a light on the back of their tank. So that way, if they pop their head up and if their back's facing the direction of either a vessel or boat, that they could be seen. So we abide by those two rules, and those two rules by the Coast Guard and by the not even a rule. They just asked us to do it, and we follow that rule. The Coast Guard is more of a rule. Sheriff's Department was more of a request. So we just do that to keep everybody happy, and it's actually making it a safer for all the divers as well. So flag light. I usually tell divers, if you're going to carry a reel or any way of a line that you ball up on, like a hand reel or a finger reel or any kind of line, I usually recommend putting a glow stick on the line, on the base of the line, so if you drop it, you can see it. Okay. I also usually recommend divers, if you think you're just warm during the day, it actually feels a little cooler at nighttime. So I usually recommend wearing a little bit of a thicker suit or maybe a hood. And of course, have your backup lights in case you have a failure. Now, the nice thing about the bridge, it's a great place. If you said, Jeff, I don't know about doing a night dive, this kind of seems like scary. The bridge is actually the perfect place for it, because it's a great place to walk in, get a gradual feel for night diving. And if you feel uncomfortable, you could just come right back out. But the cool thing is, if you actually were to look up, you can see all the street lights still through the water, up through the on the surface. So you still have that feeling like it's kind of like sleeping at nighttime, and when you're a kid and you have your little night light on. So it makes, for those divers, it makes them feel more comfortable trying to do their first night dive instead of just doing it right off the vessel and going straight down. So again, good place to learn to do a night dive and try your first night dive. And when you get down there, you'll probably say, oh my God, that was awesome. You'll want to do night dives all the time, because all the little critters come out. I love the little shrimps that come out. Good time. I got a great video one time of a frogfish grabbing a shrimp, my batfish. So they love it when we come out there and we'll be shining our lights, and they'll say, oh, a shrimp. They didn't even know they had a shrimp, and boop, they hit the little fish. Now, of course, if you feel sorry for the shrimp, sorry to say, but that happens. I even like when we get the little jellies in there, because when you take a light and you shine them up into them, especially the little comb jellies, you shine them up and they look like you see the little light show going on through them, which is really kind of cool. and then you have the photosynthesis of the, not photosynthesis, but the I'm drawing a blank here. Skip it. Anyways, when you move your hands around, you get them to glow up. And I'm drawing a brain fart here. Bioluminescence. Thank you. There you go. So bioluminescence. So someone typed that in. Thank you, but I didn't see it, but it kicked in. But the bioluminescence are kind of cool, especially when you get on the little blue heron bridge. Okay. So we talked about how to conduct a dive. We also talked about when to conduct a dive. We talked about a little bit about night diving. One of the things I always recommend is if you're doing a day dive and doing a night dive, it's just like regular diving. Just always let someone know that you're going out for a dive. Stay with your buddy, have good buddy contact. Watch your air supply, because even though you're diving very shallow, and yes, you're only the deepest point, 23 feet. The deepest point, the average depth is maybe 10 to 15 feet. You need to be very, be mindful that if you watch your air supply, so you can get back in a nice, safe time. Because of the bottom, one of the things I like to tell divers are, please watch the fins. It really annoys a photographer. It annoys anybody else who's sightseeing. If you don't watch your buoyancy and you keep hitting your fins down, you want to do that nice, good frog kick. So it's just spitting your feet out, a nice, good frog kick. I swim, most of my diving is done that way. So just be mindful of that. So animals you'll see, and the rare animals that's been sighted. So animals that you'll see, well, the most common animals that we see there quite a bit are your sergeant majors, your parrotfish, your arrow crabs, your gobies. Those are always what you're going to, I could say definitely year round. I even like to say I'll see my seahorses year round. They do have a time when they do move, they do migrate. So seahorses are one of them that I would say you don't really see all year round, but usually there are a couple residential ones that we do hang out for the longest time. And you can watch them from the little babies. And I have one of my friends, Tom Poff. He actually watched a little baby seahorse grow up on the scaffolding, and watched it grow up a little bit, and it moved on. Got out of the house, got an apartment. Now he's probably got kids, got a job, so he moved on. So seahorses, and you got different types. So you got the line seahorse, your common seahorse. So different types. The other ones that we see, these are also typically more seasonal, but believe it or not, you really can't tell with animals, but the frogfish like to come in. They love to come in there and mate. So it's not uncommon, especially on a full moon, if you have any frogfish in, you'll see a nice pregnant female, and she's about to give birth, or put her eggs out there, so the males will spawn. We have different types. The center one here is the striated frogfish. That's our most common one. We have them. They can be the size. I've seen them as big as the size of a big giant grapefruit. And of course, we've got our dwarf frogfish that you'll see there. I mean, no bigger than the size of your pinky nail. So very tiny ones. So the other ones that we see there is our nudibranches. The bridge is notoriously known for finding a lot of nudibranches. Anne DuPont, she's one of she's just my go-to girl on the book. So if you really want a good book, we sell it in the store about nudibranches. Definitely a get-to book, because it's got all the types of and how to identify. And if I had to say who's probably my crazy nudibranch lover right now, I had to say that would be Sandra Edwards, because she just loves her nudies. She comes in the store and she just gotta find them. So I think if she didn't have a tank on her back and she could have gills, she'd probably be down there all the time, 24 hours. But she loves looking for them and for those little nudies. but they're very tiny. And when I say tiny, I'm talking like even a little bit smaller than a grain of rice. So that's how tiny we're talking of some of these. So they're not like some of the Pacific ones where you get the bigger ones. But we do have the warded. We have the warded. Uh, Warded ones, they're a little bit bigger. So you got your sea slugs, you've got your nudies. So you've got a large variety of different types of invertebrates. Um, I love seeing the sea hares when they come in. At nighttime, you'll see nothing during the day, but when nighttime comes out, they come out from under the ground. They unbury themselves, and the ragged sea hares. Oh, they're just a lot of those things are really really cool to see. So different types of vertebrates, different types of invertebrates. So, but the nudies are really popular because you see so many different varieties of species there. They're actually what people will tell me they've only found one. They've only found in one place other than anywhere else in the world. So I say, oh, I've only seen that in Brazil, or I've only seen this over here, or So it's kind of funny when I hear people tell me they've seen. I've seen this, but only in one other place in the world. But I can't believe it's all here at the bridge. So the bridge is really a nice place. And the reason why a lot of these animals actually come here are, like the octopus. We have Chelsea. We call her Octo Girl. So unfortunately, I think Chelsea is just might as well just change her name legally to Octo Girl. She's actually one of the local scientists that's been doing studies on octopus for the longest time. And she's getting ready to do some work with some other people and doing on a video with them. But you have the Atlantic long arm, you have the common, and you have your Caribbean octopus. The Atlantic long arms, I think I counted 8 today on the Atlantic long arms. They actually like to blend in with the bottom. They sit on the middle in the sand, and their whole camouflage, if they're ever out, they like to look like a piece of algae stuck on the bottom, kind of swaying with the current, and they actually will just mimic. The common octopus like to be more around structures, like the bottom base of say a log or a pillar that's laying down, or somewhere where they have a place they can dig a hole and get underneath and put shells around, or bottles. So a lot of times divers will like to come in there and like, oh, we're going to clean up, we're going to take the bottles out. If it's got growth on it, I tell you, don't touch it. Just leave it there. It's somebody's home, and they'll just grow. Just take it. Paper, that's different. Plastics, yes, take. But like bottles, and if it's especially got growth on it, we had a group that was doing a beach cleanup, and they were pulling all these bottles out, and there was a lot of little baby octopus in them. So again, it's one of those things where you tell people, I personally would just recommend just leaving them. If it's got growth on the bottle, just leave it there. And back to your, like on your nudies, they like to see, if you can see the different types of grass. They love, you'll see them growing on the algae, love to eat that. So you'll see them more in the grassy, patchy areas a lot. And on the very ends, again, you gotta have a good squint down and take your time. That's the big thing. Also, if you get a upside down moon jelly, there are some nudies that like to hang out. And if you see a little strand of, looks like a string or something, a cluster of strings on a upside down jelly, that's actually a nudie. There's a nudie that they're probably nesting on. So they even do come in, and they travel in on those guys as well. And then back to the frogfish. Frogfish, they like to hang out where the typical small fish like to come in, so it's not common to see them in the shallows. But again, they like to stay on a structure and blend in. The striated frogfish, I'll find them on anything from the ground close to the bottom, but I've even found them in the middle of the sand. They like to blend in with the grassy areas. Seahorses actually blend in with like you'll see them in the sponges, you'll see them more on the walls. They like, in with a rope. So anything they can wrap their tail around, they like to hold on to. And of course, when they move, you'll see them every once in a while. They'll even lay down when they feel like they're in a defensive mode. Now, if you see a seahorse kind of all of a sudden put its head straight down, you're trying to take a picture, and all of a sudden it puts its head straight down, that's its way of saying hey, get out of my face. I don't want you taking a picture of me. And that's their anti-paparazzi pose. They just go face down and they hide themselves. Or they'll turn their back to you. So yes, they will shun you. They'll turn their back to you. And the frogfish, sometimes when they're in the mating season, you'll actually find them, a cluster of them. Sometimes you'll find three or four of them around each other. I think 1 year we counted like 9 within like a 10-foot by 10-foot area. And of course, Phyllis got a little excited. My girlfriend Phyllis, she actually found her first frogfish all on her own, and it was a big pregnant female. That one was actually in front of the lifeguard area in about 4 feet of water. So pretty unique. She was actually excited about it. I was proud for her. And of course, let's go and look at some of the weird things that people like to see there. I don't call these guys weird. They're just unique. One of them is the batfish. Now, the batfish, I think, is more of a year-round animal there, because I do find them. We have the long nose and the short nose. They're actually pretty cool. Some people call them the whistling fish. It looks like it's always whistling because the mouth's round. But they're pretty cool to watch. They have little fins on the bottom, and they like to walk on their bottom fins. But when they start to swim, it's kind of neat to watch them. They're kind of like they're waddle swimming. Waddle. The jawfish, we do have the jawfish. We have the banded-tailed jawfish. Of course, everybody loves to get the shots when they have the eggs in the mouth. So if you ever see them, a two pair together in 2 holes, you probably have a mating pair. It probably won't be long till they actually make some babies and have some, and then you'll notice when the male's got the cluster of eggs in his mouth. But it's kind of cool to watch them because they actually like to build their hole, and sometimes they really don't care about the divers, so we find them that they're pretty photogenic. The batfish, on the other hand, they always like to turn away. It's hard to get a good face shot of them on a photo or camera because they like to turn away from you. The other type of jawfish is the yellowhead jawfish. That actually is kind of one of the cool ones too. Real small. Phyllis found one the other couple weeks ago. Yellowhead jawfish, really nice. We have the sea robins. We have a couple of versions of them. The bigger one is the leopard sea robin, but we also have the banded sea robins. So they actually are pretty cool because they got like little crab legs, and you'll see them kind of shifting through. We have the flying gurnards. I used to see them all the time, but they're kind of becoming more seasonal. So the flying gurnards, you've got I can just keep going on, guys, of all the types of animals you'll see there. So you'll see the stargazers. That's one of my favorite ones. A lot of people don't know they have a little plate on the top of their head. They can shock fish. So if you accidentally ever put yourself on elbow on one, because I've seen when you actually brace yourself and you actually push off by mistake, you can actually probably see one get scurled and take off because you disturbed them. We've spotted eagle rays, southern eagle rays. And of course, all year round, we also have the yellow rays, which are little ones. Now, if you ever see a yellow ray, it's really kind of cool because if you see the little humps on their back, the big humps, if you ever watch and see those humps start moving, yep, those are babies. So that's a pregnant females, which is kind of cool. But they don't really get too discouraged by the snorkelers and the divers, so you can probably get some good videos and pictures of them as well. We have our pike blennies. You got your blennies. They're all types of blennies. There's just all kinds of blennies you can find and see there. So just so many neat things. I've actually spotted. I got a video on our Facebook page of a manta ray, a big giant manta ray. So there you got manatees. You got besides limit sharks, they just spotted a bull shark there. So you just never know. What makes the park so unique is because the area is a good place for a lot of marine life to come in and congregate and just either young ones to grow up. We used to have actually a turtle that used to be a resident there. We saw for a while there. So it's not uncommon to see a turtle. I think actually someone saw one today. Actually, Lazaro. He actually said he saw one today. So hopefully we'll have his pictures up. You can always go to our site. You can go to the Blue Heron Bridge Dive Club. They always post pictures. Blue Heron Bridge Preservation, they post pictures. Lazaro, David Sanchez, Brenda Hill, Sandra Edwards. I mean, just these are all people that just love posting their pictures. So good place to go and like. So if you actually see anybody that dives the bridge, follow them. It's a lot of people to follow because it's so popular. You follow them, go to those sites, go to those Facebook pages and see the pictures, because it just really will show you what you think you saw or you think you didn't see or something. My favorite one is when I see people take pictures and then they especially if you're doing a lot of macro, because it's really good for macro. They take a picture and they all of a sudden go look at their picture and they realize there was something else in their picture they didn't see when they were taking it initially. So that's always kind of like a surprise. But yeah, like I said, though, you come in during a cooler time, so all year round, you get the manatees will come in. When the grasses come in, you'll see the green turtles come in and eat. We even actually, someone said we had a pot of dolphins 1 year go by and swim through, and about like 4 or 5 of them, which is kind of neat. So it's a pretty really nice place to go to. Like I said, to see a lot of neat stuff. What we like you guys to do is when you go there, take some pictures and tell us, post it. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd like to see what you guys have. We love it when you guys give us a call and tell us what the visibility was like and what the water temperature was. But we'd love it mostly when you guys send us the pictures. Say, hey, this is what I saw there today. If you kind of go there and say, I didn't really see anything, and well, give us a call. We'll take you out and take you out for a guide. This is my 2 students right here, Cynthia and Marco. They actually they were actually taking and doing one of their training dives there, and we did a fun dive later on, and showing them a seahorse, a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, you can hire a dive guide any day. Just let us know. Give us plenty. If you can give us plenty of time, plenty of notice, that'd be great. Dive guides right now, I think range about $125 for the first 2 people, and then we also do snorkel guides. We have a snorkel guide that's going on next week. So we also do the try scuba. So if you want to experience diving over there. So quite a bit of things you can do while you're there. We do full gear rental as well, so all that stuff. So if you need anything like from gear, the only thing we don't rent, of course, are lights right this time. But those are one of those things that are pretty inexpensive to buy anyways. The dive guides usually get you can get about a good 2-hour window. That's your dive window time. So provided that your air is good. So I don't know where else in the world you can do one dive for 2 hours. I like to try to stay in one area when we do it. But so if you do one day to the east side, another day do the west side. Done the snorkel trail one time, just the whole time I stayed on it. So definitely say if you guys ever wanted to go diving there, just give us a call. Give us a call if you're kind of curious what the conditions are like. Now the visibility can vary from day to day. Whenever we have rough seas out there, whenever we get the turbidity picks up, they're doing any kind of beach erosion replenishment. All those can affect the visibility on the outside. Well, that gets pulled inside, it can affect the visibility on the inside. So if the visibility is not the best, obviously it's a little unsafe, so you don't want to go diving in it. But I actually will tell you, people go, oh, it was 10 foot. Well, I like 10 foot because for me, it's a lot of macro. So it's a lot about the little stuff there. So I just take my time and just see all the little things when you're within a couple of feet of them. So 10 foot is not, to me, not a bad thing. I have no problem diving in those kind of conditions. We do have to also be careful when you call in. We'll tell you what time is. Like we've had things like really strong east winds, and if we have issues sometimes with Portuguese man o' war coming in, you can also check the Coast Guard report. They'll tell you what they've been sighted, what they've seen in the area as well. If you guys do have any kind of concerns of like first aid and so forth when the lifeguards are on duty, They do have first aid kits. They do have oxygen at the stations. Um, but however, though, will tell you, please make sure you guys bring your towels. Make sure you bring bottled water. Any snacks that you want to do there. And if you do come into the park, please make sure everything you bring in the park you take out of the park. So if you have garbage, just throw it away. Don't leave anything behind. Remember, we want to keep this a nice, beautiful place for the rest of us to come back to. And with that being said, I would say let's grab our gear and let's go diving. And I want to say a special thank you to the photo pros of 4C, Mark, Nicole, Jordan, Monica, and Jason for contributing for the pictures for the slide. You guys are awesome. You guys really take great pictures. And then hopefully I'll see some more from you. And I think we are done with that part of the presentation.
All right, Jeff, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Nicole.
Excellent. Good job. We've had a lot of great interactions on our comment section. Thank you guys for playing the game with me. I was having you guys do the emojis, the different animals that you might see at the bridge. So that was really fun. Okay, so we have a few questions for you. All right. They want to know, there's been a lot of rain lately. So how does this affect the visibility there? And for how long will it affect the visibility?
So it depends on how much Lake Okeechobee is a big feed into it. So if we get a lot of the gates open up and they flush out the canals, we could get a lot of that keep coming in. But usually whenever we have a heavy rain situation, usually about a couple of days and it's gone. So, but if they have rain, like I said, out in the middle, like in Lake Okeechobee, that's where we get a lot of that from.
Awesome. They want to also know, what are some tips for hiding your car keys at the bridge?
So I don't recommend hiding the car keys, but I recommend actually taking a pill. We have these nice little pill capsules. I forgot to bring one actually, but we sell them in the store. I've actually had mine down to 90 feet by mistake, left it in my BC pocket, didn't know it, and it didn't flood. So I actually recommend you just taking the keys with you. I have some people that will put a little dry bag on the top of their flag base because it's not pressure, because it can't take the pressure, but they'll put it on the base of their flag. Just don't lose your flag. But yeah, don't put it on the car tire, things like that. They do make these things that you can put on your trailer hitch. If you have a hitch, that actually will put a locking mechanism in there, and you can actually lock it on a trailer hitch. I actually seen someone was kind of interesting. They had a ball and hitch, and those kind of locks that you put on a house whenever they need to do a viewing or something. They actually bought one of those, and they locked it on the back of their hitch. So they had a combination lock like that. So that's what I would recommend.
Awesome. All right. There are some people who want to know where the location of certain animals are. However, Jeff, you and I both know that if you want to know these locations, you need to hire one of us to go diving with you.
Yeah, I usually give a good intel. Because the park is, and I didn't really kind of bring that up, but the park is protected. So I don't like to really tell people a lot about where things are and post it for that reason. And I usually try to tell people not to do that on the page as well, because of the problem we had with collectors back a while back. They've been trying to get the park protected for the longest time, and then it was just getting shot down. So thanks to with help with Kim Nobby, and me and her strategized, and she gave me some good pointers and helped me a lot and made up a nice booklet for me. And I took Dan Volker, Sandra Edwards, Chelsea, Skip from the shop, from the owner, Octogirl, my girl from Phyllis. We went to Sarasota, and we actually presented to the FWC about getting the park protected. So we said it the right way. So that was basically the kick. But anyway, so what ended up happening was that all of a sudden got them interested, and said they put it on. They okay, we'll do some research on that, and they put it on the agenda, and that turned around and got it. Of course, then the diving community got involved, and that turned around and got everybody's support from the whole diving environment got involved, and because of that, we got it protected actually quicker than they got the manatees and the Goliath groupers protected. That was actually, I believe, less than a year. So because of that collecting issue they were having, we don't like to tell people things because there are people who do like to sneak out there. So we don't really give out that information, especially on the post. And we ask you guys not to post that way. Now, if you want to come in and talk to people personally and tell if we see them, we always encourage that because that keeps people taking those great pictures. So if you come in the shop, come in, I'll be more than happy to give you guidance, especially for those who dive the site and know really well. But like I said, me and Nicole, we love showing you these things. So I actually like even taking video of you guys taking pictures of those things. So it's really kind of neat to get your picture taken with it too.
And so Jeff, since we're talking about these violations that could potentially happen, what would a diver do if they saw someone collecting or taking spear guns in? Like, what is the right way to handle something like that?
Well, you don't want to harass them because that's against the law. Because if you harass them, now you're looking like you're a bad person. So what you want to do is the best thing to do is get out as quick as possible. You can either you call FWC. They have a hotline. They even have an app on their phone. If you put it on your phone, get my phone, the FWC app, you can actually take and they have a hotline report. So it looks just like kind of here, see here, there. It's kind of like this, and it's actually where you can report a violation, and it goes right to the phone line. The other thing you can also do, you can call Palm Beach Police Department, but the best thing to do is call FWC. The spearfishing rule, there's the Marine Patrol. But a lot of times you just get anybody of authority figure, they'll contact the right person. Okay.
Awesome. All right. So don't believe.
Oh, real quick.
Yeah.
I would also like to recommend, I'm backing that up a little bit. If you have a camera, if you have a video, take pictures of it. Take a video of it. That way you have proof of what they were doing. That also helps the case of if anybody taking in spear gunning or anything underwater like that. Okay. I have people that actually taken video underwater, but the problem is the best thing to do is take the video or and come up to the surface so you're sure that you are at the park, and then come back down and get them back down if they're doing that. But I honestly tell you, if you just explain to the people, because a lot of people don't know, hey, this is a protected area, you can't do that here. Oh, I didn't know that. Or the other one is the spear fishermen. A lot of young kids, especially, they come there, they don't know any better. So if you just tell them, be nice. That's the best way to handle it. And just say, listen, don't do that here. You're not allowed to. You don't have to be nasty. Just be real polite. I see little kids coming all the time with the little nets and stuff. Don't harass the children. They're going to put it right back. So, yeah, just best thing to do is just be nice, be polite, and explain things. It's best to be an ambassador and explain things than to be forceful.
Awesome. So I know you mentioned a little bit about the snorkeling, free diving that they have there. Could you just really quick pop a little bit more information if somebody does want to snorkel or free dive in that area, what the rules are for that?
So the flag rule is still in effect. So if you put a mask on or snorkel in your mouth, the law is you have to have a flag. So the best thing to do is just carry a flag, and of course when you're free diving, it's all about buddy team and safety. So when one's up, one's down, so you never go by yourself. So the person that's on the surface can hold the flag if you don't want to obviously dive down and hold on to it. Just watch the current. Make sure when you're coming up, make sure you're not coming up under any boats that are anchored up. So for the snorkelers, be careful you have any kayakers or paddleboarders around you. So again, that's why it's nice to have that buddy system. So when you take a free diving class, our free diving instructors are really big on safety, and we are too as well. But as scuba divers, always make sure you have the person on the surface is keeping an eye out whenever you're diving down, and then making sure you're not going to come up under anything or anybody else. Because the last thing you want to do is come up up underneath another person on snorkeling and free diving. But again, don't dive down. Don't grab onto the rocks. Just snorkel. If you can't stay down, then just come right back up. Don't grab on anything, because you don't want to tear up any of those any of that structure down there. A lot of these rocks are very light, and if you grab onto them, you can flip them over, and you just messed up a nice home for a nice blenny or something like that. So it's really important that we don't grab onto anything.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate you guys giving all this great information. We've had a lot of fun. Before we all sign off, let's go ahead and do our raffle. So I'm going to bring it into the stream here. So everybody registered on our Eventbrite. You guys got your names put into our random name picker. All right. So there it is. There it is on the screen. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this green button, and the winner will receive the Blue Heron Bridge Companion Book.
Nice.
All right. It has lots of great information, great pictures about the animals, the critters that live at the Blue Heron Bridge. And it's available at the 4C stores, or you can get it online. I actually put it in the comment section where you can get it online at our stores if you don't win it. But I'm giving this one away. And are you guys ready for the raffle? Okay, let's go. So here's everybody's name. Oops. And here we go. Random. Ta-da-da-da! The winner is Amanda Sargent. Amanda Sargent. Amanda, if you are watching us live right now, give us an emoji that you're super happy that you just won a book for the Blue Heron Bridge. Woo! All right. So, Amanda, you can come pick this up at the dive shop, or you can wait and we can send it to you. We'll get in touch with you. Okay. All right. And if you want, go to the Riviera store and Mr. Jeff Nelson will sign it. I know he didn't write it, but he can, he's a celebrity. He's our Blue Heron Bridge. So, all right. So, guys, thank you again for tuning in. If you liked this presentation, give us a thumbs up, a heart emoji, or a smiley face. Let us know that you liked it. And obviously, there's going to be more Facebook Lives coming at you. This one, we will save it and we'll put it on our YouTube channel. So if you didn't get to see all of the presentation, no worries. It'll be there on our YouTube channel for you to enjoy. All right. So everybody, here at 4C, from Jeff and I, we say, let's grab our gear and
let's go diving.
Bye, guys.